Hola! The hero banner is one of the most important elements on your website. It is the first thing that customers see when they land on your site. So that image or video of your products needs to be captivating enough to make them want to stay and shop. So let's jump into today's video because I want to talk to you a little bit about the anatomy of a hero banner, when you should change them up because it's not a set it and forget it type of thing on your website. We're going to talk a little bit about your image size, the file size, a teeny tiny bit of SEO, and then we'll go into all of the settings that are available to you within the image banner on Shopify. So let's jump in. So let's begin with the anatomy of a hero banner. So it is called a hero banner because it is the largest image or video on your website. So the hero banner, the anatomy is of a hero banner. It should be the image or video of your products, a text that reinforces that image, and then a call to action. So the button, also known as CTA, right? So big picture, that is the anatomy of your hero banner. It should have those three components, okay? Sometimes you'll hear it referred to as the above the fold because that's what it's called in the design world. So above the fold, so think about it as a newspaper. When the newspaper is folded, that section that you see, that is called above the fold. That's where the term came from. And so on your website, it's when you first land on your website without scrolling at all, everything that they see is called the above the fold, right? So that breaking point, that line, once they scroll and then they start to see the additional information that is below the fold, okay? So you'll hear it either above the fold or your hero banner. It's meaning the same thing. It's that same section, the first section of your website right below the menu. So when would you want to change this up? Well, you want to change up your hero banners all the time, right? You want to change it whenever you have a sale, whenever you have a new collection, when you have a new product for the holidays, maybe seasonal if you sell seasonal products, right? So you want to change this up every time. You want something for your customers to see different every time they come to your website. It's nothing different like a storefront, right? When you go shopping at your stores, it changes for every season. It changes all the time. You never go to your favorite store and the window display is always the same, right? It's not that way, and neither should your website, okay? Okay, so now before we jump into Shopify, I want to quickly go into Canva. So if you didn't check out last week's video, check it out here. In last week's video, I created images and videos that we're going to be using in today's tutorial. So we're going to jump into Canva, download those images. I'm going to show you the different file sizes, the files, how to name them, and we're also going to compress them because we need to compress our images, okay? And then we'll jump into Shopify. So let's go ahead and go into Canva first. So if you're following along from last week, these were the banners that we created. Okay, so we're going to have two different versions of this one here because as you remember from the previous video, I mentioned that if your Shopify theme does not allow for a clickable banner, so we're going to download this one here and then add the text so that we can have the button in Shopify, okay? So this one has some animation. This one is simply just an image. And then this one is also an image. And then we also created this one, which is a video. So we have three different images that swap out here, okay? So let's begin. So if it has animation or it's a video, then you need to download it as a MP4 video. It's pretty straightforward. So we're going to go ahead and download that. And we're going to keep them all together. So we're going to go click on download, okay? Now the downloading sometimes takes a little bit of time, but let it do its thing. All right, so now that is downloaded. So now let's head over to this file here. So I want to show you how to do something like this in Shopify. So we created that animation here, but we're going to add the text and the button in Shopify, okay? So this particular one, because it has animation, we will also download it as an MP4. And in this one, I just want to download just this one by itself. So this is my page 2. Okay, so that one now is downloaded. And now we're going to download these two images. So these are just images. So let's go ahead and download those two. And so now as far as images, whether JPEG or PNG, either one, it doesn't really matter The PNG is more for when you want images that are transparent. So you have elements that you want to overlay over another image and you want that transparency. Then that's when you would use a PNG. But it really doesn't matter on which file size you use, as long as the image is a high quality, crisp image, okay? The JPEGs are smaller file size, which is what we want, and I'll show you in just a moment, but you can do either one, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and use the JPEG just to show you how clear these images will still look in Shopify, even if I use the JPEG, right? We're gonna go ahead and download the JPEG, and now I only want the page 2 and 3. Now, when you select more than one image, it's going to create a zip file for you. So that's not a problem. I'm going to show you how to unzip it. Okay, so we're going to wait for that to download. Also, let's go ahead and download it as a PNG as well, so that I can show you the difference in the file size. File size is really important for the speed of your website. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that, and then we have a good comparison so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, beautiful. So now all of those images are now downloaded. Here is the download folder. So this is what it's going to look like. Anytime you download anything from Canva that has 2 or more images, it's going to download it in the zip file. So all you have to do is just click on it, and then you'll have this extract all. So you can just click that and you'll have a second window that'll come up and you just extract. Okay, so that'll open that one. And then we're going to extract this one here. And that'll open that one. Those are the 2 zip files, and let's compare them side by side so that you can see the difference between the JPEG and the PNG. Okay, if you hover over the image, the PNG, if you right click on it and you click on the properties, you will see that this image size is 1.95 megabyte. That is way too big. Your file sizes should be, for your images, 1 megabyte or less. Okay, preferably 500 kilobytes will be, for me, ideal, is what I normally try to aim for. Okay, so that's the PNG. Now, if we go over here and we look at that same exact image, again, we go to properties, we'll see that the file size is 187 kilobytes. That's a huge difference between the two, right? Let's take a quick look at the other one. So image number 4. This one is 212. The properties for this one is almost 4 gigabytes. Okay, so that is huge. So what does that mean, Betsy? What it means that if a lot of your images are this size, it means that it's going to take longer for your images to load on your website. So it's going to slow down your website. So when someone lands on your website, it's going to take a few seconds for that image to upload, right? And, you know, speed is really, really important. Think about when you're scrolling through your Instagram feed, right? How long do you wait until you go to the next scroll, right? So it's usually 3 seconds. And that's the same thing with websites. So 3 seconds, if it takes longer than 3 seconds for that image to load, it's taking too long, okay? So that's why I always suggest for you to download your files as JPEG. Okay, so for this particular example, I always compress my images, but for this file size, because it's less than the 500, I don't need to compress it. I can just upload it to Shopify just like this. But if it was a PNG, and if your current images are PNG, and you look and you see that this file size is anything over 1, you need to compress it. It's too big, okay? So how do you compress it? So let's say if you want to use this PNG here, you can go to a resource that I use called Tiny JPEG or Tiny PNG. As you can see, it's the same website. So you can just click on here. It's really easy to use. You just click here. It'll open your download folder. So let's go ahead and upload that image, right? And it's also telling you again here that this image size is 1.2 megabyte, and it's going to compress it, and it's going to tell you how much it compressed it with the new file size, okay? So here we go. So now it is 616, and it compressed it by 72%. So that's a huge difference, okay? So it's not the 500, but it's less than the 1 megabyte, which is okay with me, okay? So that is what I want you to do with your images before you upload them into Shopify is to compress them if you need to compress them, okay? And you can also do bulk. So you can just grab a whole bunch of your images from your file and upload them here all together. And then we'll go ahead and compress those images for you and then download them in a zip file. So, right? So we just download it here and it'll make that for you, okay? So super, super simple. And we're gonna do the same thing for your videos. So the website that I use is freeconvert.com. And I'll have all of these links in the description down below for you, but it's the same process. You're going to compress your videos as well. You go from choose your file. All right, so you're going to upload it the same like you do with your images. And then here, just make sure we downloaded it as an MP4 from Canva. So we want to keep it as an MP4. .mov is fine too, but we'll do the .mp4 just to stay consistent. And then the same thing, we're just going to convert so that it can compress your videos as well. And once it's done, we're going to do the same thing, save to device, and it's going to save it into your download files. Same process as the images. So I hope that that's clear now, the difference between the file sizes, okay? Now, the next thing that we want to do is that we never want to upload an image that says image 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? You don't want to do that. So for purposes of SEO, if specifically for the banners, not such a big deal unless it's a banner that's going to be on your website for a couple of weeks. So if you're running a sale and your banner is for a sale that is within 7 days or 3 days, right? It's okay, just name it. You still need to rename it, right? So just name it the sale, whatever it is, your spring sale, or whatever you want to name it because it's temporary. But if it's going to be a banner that you're going to keep up there for a couple of weeks, please rename them using your shop name. And whatever that collection happens to be. And the reason for that is for SEO. So Google indexes the images on your website if it's named properly and it has the alt text, which I'm going to show you how to do in just a couple of minutes here. Okay, so just like Google indexes your website, it also indexes image if it's named properly. Okay. So when you go on to Google and you see the image search, so if you go on to Google and you click on images, that page is full of images that have been SEO optimized, and that's why they show up there. So if somebody's searching for a product that you sell and you have the name in the file name and also in the alt text, it will show up in Google search so that people can just click it and it'll bring them to your website. Okay, so that's why you want to name them, because it's part of the SEO. So let me show you how to do that really quickly here. So let's go ahead and do it with the MP4. All right, so one of the things that you want to do, this is going to be the sale. So let's say it's for the spring coming up. You want to type in spring and then hyphen. So no spacing in the naming of SEO. So I'm just starting an SEO certification. So this is something new to me. I always thought it was either blank or underscore, and it's not. It is the name, and instead of a space is a hyphen. So spring sale, and then let's say just homepage, right? So homepage. And that's good enough because it's temporary, right? It's only going to be up on your website for just a couple of days, okay? So that's how you would rename it. Let's say that this is a product. If this was a product or a collection, if you have a specific name for it, then go ahead and give that specific name. So let's do the crew neck winter collection kids. Okay, so that's what I would name it. Preferably whatever your name of your brand is, you can put that in there, and then crew neck collection for kids. So something that Google can say, oh, I know what's in this image. Okay, all right, so that is a little bit of SEO there for you. I told you I was going to keep it short, but that's how you name your images. So please name your images. Now we're ready for Shopify. Let's upload one image and a video so that you can see how to do both. So here we are. I'm going to use a copy of my theme. So this particular theme is actually the Dawn 12.0.0. Okay, so let's go ahead and customize it. All right, and we're going to use an image banner. So one of these, but let me go ahead and just install a fresh one right here. So we're going to add a section, and we're going to add an image banner. All right, and it's going to always put it at the bottom. So all you have to do is, if you hover right over it, you're going to have these 6 dots that are going to appear. So you can just hover over it and then click and drag up. And if you ever want to delete anything, you can always either hide it or you can just delete. Okay, so that's how you get rid of things you don't want on your site. All right, so here we are. This is the image banner. And so we have several different controls within a section. So if you just have the image banner clicked, you will have these controls here. So this is where we'll add the image banner. So the first image and the second image. So you have the opportunity to have two images on your banner. So you'll have one image on this side and one image on this side. Okay, so this is not a slider. It has two images, but it's not a slider. It's just two images at the same time that you can see. Okay, now remember, we're going to upload a banner that already has all of the text. So because it has all of the text, I'm not going to need this section here. Okay, so let's jump over to this one just really quickly. So the image banner here will be what you click in order to type in your heading. Right, so we already have a heading, but for the heading here, you want an attention grabbing heading for your customers to see. Okay, so this is where you would add it. And then you have a little bit of some control here of what the heading is going to look like. So you can bold it, right? You can also use the generated text here to emphasize. So this is a new feature in Shopify. So you can play around with all of this to help you create a heading. Then you can italicize it. And then you can also make the banner click to somewhere else on your website. Okay, so let's say, for example, this is not really used very often, but you can do this, especially on your hero banner. So if you want for customers to be able to click on this and go to, let's say, who we are, which would be kind of like an about us, you can just click on that and then you can have it open in a new window. I would always advise to open in a new window if it's going to take them somewhere outside of the product page. So if they're in a product page and there's a link for them to click, you always want that to open in another page because you don't want your customers to lose their spot of where they are, right? You don't want them to click the back button in order to get back to where they were. Okay, so you would, in that instance, you would say open in a new window. Okay, so you have the ability to do that and then you can just save it there. Okay, so that is for your image banner. Those are the selections that you have available to you. Once you save, and then you can just insert. Okay, then you have the ability to make it small, medium, and large for the size of the text. Okay, all right, so that is for your heading. And then we go over to your text or subheading. And again, this is the section where you would input the information you want there. And you want the text to be supplemental to what you're saying here as your header. Okay, so that is your description here. Then the same thing, you have the same options that you have for the header. And again, you can change the style of how that text looks. So this is a body style. Then you have your subtitle, and then you can also make everything uppercase. However, with the uppercase, it makes the text really small. I don't know why. We don't have the options to make this bigger font because that's way too small. Okay, so there is a way of making this a bigger, so you can do it this way, so you can type it in so you have the uppercase without it being so small. I don't know why they make it so small, so that's another way you can do that. Okay, so that is your text and that is your subheading. Then you have your button. So here you have the ability to have two buttons or one. So if you only want one button, all you have to do is just delete this information here, and then you'll only have one button. Okay, then you also have the option of the style of the button. So not only do you, let me save this. Okay, not only do you have the ability to change the button styles here, right, the way that it looks, but you're also able to change the button style here, which is the outline. So if you don't want a color, you can just have the outline of the button there. All right, so those are the three things that you can do within the banner that is not related to the image. And then if you don't want any of these three, you can just simply hide it if you're gonna want it later, or you can delete it. All right. So in this situation, because we already have all of the fonts on the banner, we're gonna go ahead and just delete all three of these elements here. And we're just going to work with the image banner. And if you want to later on add you can just simply here go back here to add a block, and you could add one of those 3 elements or all 3 elements at the same time. All right, so we're in the image banner. So let's go ahead and upload our first image. And we're just going to drag and drop from our file. There it is. And we're going to click on done. And it'll apply that image that we created right here. And as I said, the second image will just cut this in half and show 2 images here. All right. Now let's come and see some of the settings that we have here in addition to just uploading an image. So the image overlay opacity gives some color to this image. So right now I have my overlay set to black. So if I bring this up all the way up to 100, it'll completely black out my image. If I set it to 50, there it goes. Now you can see the image, but you see that shade of black right on top of it. I would suggest for you have an overlay if your font colors and the background do not have enough contrast. So for accessibility purposes, you have to be able to clearly read what your text is saying. If my background is black and my text is a dark gray, that won't pass the accessibility test because there's not enough contrast. Okay, so keep that in mind. And this is where the overlay will help you create that contrast. So let me show you an example of this. Let me save this. Let me open another window here. And let me go back to my original theme here so you can see. So you see this image here, if I click right on it, you'll see that my opacity is at 70%. Let me show you what the original image looks like. Right, so this is the original image, and I have the text color to set to white. And as you can see, there is not enough contrast between my font color and the background. And that is really bad for accessibility. Okay, so for people who have a hard time seeing, this is not going to work for them. Okay, so they're not going to be able to use your site the way you want them to use it because they can't see what this says. Okay, so this is when in the situation where you would increase the opacity so you can still use the image that you want and add some contrast. So see now how my text pops up. Okay, now you also have the ability to change the opacity color. So mine is set to black, which is the default color. So you can change that to any other color, and I can always create a video to show you how to do that. Just let me know in the comments below. Now we have the image banner height. You can play around with how you want this image to appear. So we can do the adapt to the first image. So if you had 2 images, that's what it will do. It will adapt to this first image. So that'll make a huge, beautiful, big banner. Let's go ahead and just leave it to adapt to the size of the image here. We might have to come back and play with it when we go into mobile, but let's just go ahead and continue. Now for the desktop content position, if you were using the heading, text, or button, this is how you manipulate where it's going to show on your banner. So the information can be in the center. Let me go back here so I can show you. My text right here is in the middle left. I can make it middle right. Okay, I can make it bottom center. So this is how you control where this information is shown on your banner. Okay, so that's what this is here. Then the next section is your desktop content alignment. Again, if the content, not only do you show where it's going to be positioned, but also the content, how you want the content to be aligned. So you want left, center, or right. Again, let me show you here. So right now I have it to the left. You can have it centered, or you can have it to the right. Okay. All right, so that customization is pretty nice. And then your theme color, again, you can change the colors of the text and the buttons, how you want that to appear. If you have it set to there, we don't have it. Everything is written here, so we don't need to change the color scheme. Then the animation, again, just what it says, it's animation. So how do you want your image to behave? So you can have an ambient movement. So as you can see, it's slightly slowly moving. Then you have a fixed position, which I really love this feature, and it's relatively new to the Dawn theme, which means that it leaves the image exactly where it is with no movement, but the rest of your website does move. Okay, I love that feature. I like to use it. It's also called parallax. You can, if you find other images that say, parallax effect, that's what this is. Then the next one will be zoom in on scroll. So Not sure if this is working here. Let me see if this works on this. Okay, so this is a new feature in the Dawn theme, because you see this particular theme that I'm using here is the Dawn 7.0. So that feature is not here, so I can't show you what that is. And from here, it's really not doing much. It's not zooming in at all. Okay, so maybe when we go to the live, we'll see what that looks like. Okay, so we'll leave that there. And now we come to the section for your mobile layout. We always want to look at your mobile device. Okay, so how you do that, which will be correspond to this section here, you hover right over here and you click on mobile. Okay, once you click on mobile here, then you're able to have a few settings here. The content, so if we come over here, okay, so here we want the content to the left, center to the right. Okay, stack image on mobile is if you have the two images, you'll have the two images here, then you can stack them if you'd like. The show container on mobile, meaning that if you don't want the text to be on top of the image, you do have the ability to move it to the bottom. It separates your image from the text. Okay, all right, so because I don't have a text here, it's not going to do anything for you, so I just wanted to show you the other one here. All right, so that concludes setting up an image from Canva. And again, you can make whatever type of images you want in Canva. Just know that if you're using the Dawn theme, you're not able to make this image clickable, okay? So having the button here is, I don't advise it. I just wanted to show you what it's going to look like, but I wouldn't advise to add the button in Canva because you're not able to click it. And if you have a button, people are going to want to click the button. Of course they do. Now there's themes that allow you to have a separate mobile image banner than you have on your desktop. Okay, so you can upload two different images, one for the desktop and one for the mobile. But as you can see from here, Dawn does not let you do that. So hopefully you have a theme that allows you to do that. I can't for the life of me think of why any of the free Shopify themes do not allow you to have that, because that is so necessary. Okay, so now let me show you how to upload the other image that we created in Canva without the text. Again, the image banner, we're going to bring this all the way up to the top here. Let's go ahead and make that a desktop, upload it into here. Now remember, this was animated, so I removed the animation because I wanted to show you how to just load one image that you create and add the text here. Okay. All right, same process. We're going to make the height here adapt to the height. So you could do that, or we can just leave it at large. We can just show a little bit of the kids, however you want to crop that image. Okay. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to work with this section here. So obviously we want to move this. So we want the content to be to the center, I would say center left, center right, excuse me. There we go. And then we will say we want to do it to the left, or we can do it to the right. Let's do it to the right here in this particular scenario here. Okay. So now we want to remove the white box. So we're going to go ahead and show container on desktop. We're going to untick that. And now that leaves us with the text that we'd like. Okay. So if we go back to our original banner here, it is, again, remember the anatomy of our header. We want a good eye-catching header text. We want a subtext. If you have a subtext or you want a subtext, then we want a text that is supporting the heading and then the call to action, right? So we have this image here that shows the kids. This is the name of the company, and classy trends for little ones, right? And then the shop now, okay? So again, all of this needs to complement each other. So those are the components that you want to add to your header. I'm just going to copy what this says here. All right. And we're going to go to the image banner right here. And then we're going to add it here. All right. And then we want this to be a large header. Unlike the text section where you are able to capitalize everything, you cannot capitalize everything here. So in this situation, I will just go ahead and capitalize it because the font size is really small. Now I can show you some CSS, so how you can just make this even bigger, but not on this video here. I do have a video on how to change font sizes, so I will link that video up above. Okay, so we're going to do that one here, and then we're going to go back and take the subheading here, and then we're going to enter that information right here. So there we go. We have that, and now our call to action, we had, what did we have here? We had shop now. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove this one. We just need one, and we're going to the shop now. Okay, and then here, now you have to add a link to that button so that it can work, right? So where do you want your customers to go when they click on this button? Do you want them to go to a collection, or do you want them to go to a specific product? So you make that decision, and this is where you're going to link it to. So I'm going to say I'm going to go to a collection. I'm going to say for this particular one, all collection, because I don't have a lot of products in this store. And so now when they click on here, it's going to go to the all collections page. So we're going to go ahead and save that. Let's go back to the image banner. If you click on the outline, that is what it would look like based on the colors that I have. Okay, so I'm going to leave that right here. Now let's go back to the image banner, and now this could change based on the color schemes that I have set forward here. So when you're looking at your color scheme, you see how the A appears black and the A appears white. So that is the text. So you can look at your color scheme and know what color text you have assigned to that color scheme, all right? So that you don't have to go around doing all of this, okay? Now the buttons, the same thing. Because I have it outlined, it won't show the button colors. But if I go back here and I unselect that, I come here and then I do my color scheme. Here you can see this one, I have a black button. You see right here, the button is black. The second button will be, this is what the first button looks like. This is what the second one looks like. So here, these two, I have black buttons, and these two, I have white buttons. So that way you can go through your color scheme quickly by identifying them from right here. Okay, so that's how you can create your banner in Canva without the text. That way Google can crawl your website and determine what this page is all about. So for your hero banner, right, this first image, you want to indicate between your header, your subheader, and your button, you want to show them who you are or what is happening, right? So who we are, so this is the name of the store. What is happening? So that would be a sale, right? So this is the difference between these two banners. And what do you sell and why is important for them to know. So this is what they're selling here. So classy trends for little ones. And then here is, why is it important? Because it's a sale, right? So you can always add a disclaimer here saying 2-day sale only or today only, whatever it is that you need them to know. That could be the subheading here. Okay, and then the third one would be your action. What action do you want them to take? So this is your call to action button. So you want it to shop now, you want it to shop makeup, right? What is it that you want them to do? Okay, so just remember your hero banner has those 3 sections, and then the image is supporting what it is that you want them to know. All right, okay, so now let's go over to the mobile. Before we move on to the mobile, I do really like a nice big banner. So I'm gonna keep it here. Please also know, if you come all the way down to the bottom, just a bonus tip here, this custom CSS, here you're able to add CSS that will customize even further certain elements within a section, okay? So you can make the heading font bigger, you can make the subheading font bigger, you can make the shop now text bigger. So you can do that adding custom CSS. Okay, so know that, let's say you really like this and you want this to be much bigger, you can create custom CSS. I'm sure that you will find a video here on YouTube that will show you how to do that. I do have a video, I will link it up above and in the description down below, where I show you how to modify some of these fonts as well. Okay, all right, so let's go to our mobile. And here we are, like I showed you before. So here I want to show content on mobile. I want to untick this because I like the font to be on top of the image. All right. And then I want it to be right aligned. So I'm going to click on the right aligned here. All right. And that is my banner. Now take a look at here. As I said before, the classy trends, you see how the white is a little bit hard to see, but so will the black, right? So let me try the black here, right? That's even worse, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just keep it on white. But if it is too hard to see, make sure that you utilize your opacity here. So I have it at 10. You can just bring it all the way down. It makes it worse or better. So you can just play around with this, all right? So I just want you to be aware that accessibility is really important, all right? So make sure that you have that tip here. Always keep that tip in the back of your mind when you're designing things. Now, sometimes if all you need is just a little bit to move the image any which direction, whether left or right, if you come over here where it says edit, if you click on that pencil, your theme might have add focal point. Okay, so this might be all you need to do. If you click on add focal point here, it'll add this little dot here, and then you can just move this little dot to ensure that this section right here is always in focus. So let's look at what that is going to do. So click on here and click on save, and you'll see that the image will move just slightly. Just kidding. Let's go all the way to the end. It's probably because the image is already to the end. Okay, there we go. So now you see both children are now in the image. However, now you can't see the little boy. So if you like that look, you can just keep that there. You can come back over here and put the focal point over here. All right. So that is just another little customization that you can create as well to make just slight movements to that image so that that focal point is always in focus, right? So it's always there. Hope that helps. All right, so now let's add the video. So we're going to add section, and this time we're going to add a video right here, because as you can see, we don't have options for videos here, okay? So you can either search for it here. You can also type it in here and it'll give you all of the sections that allow for video. So we're gonna go ahead and add the video here. Let's bring this up to the top. All right. And now with the video for this Dawn theme, as you can see here, just to give you just a heads up right now, you're not able to, again, make this clickable. All right. So if you're looking to make a video clickable, it's not going to work. Okay. But I want to show you how to do this anyway. All right. So, okay. So the top here is the same, except that here it doesn't add the text on top of the video. So you'll see it right up here. Let's go to desktop. All right, so we're going to go ahead and just remove that because we don't want that title up there. And then let's go ahead and add the video. So, okay, beautiful. Now we'll click on done. And there is our video now uploaded. And if we play it, you will see how the images scroll there. All right, so that video is working. So again, we're not going to use a heading here because we already have our text. And the heading, as you can see, goes up above. So it's not something we want for the first image up here anyway, okay? If you do, you have the controls of the size of it here. Now, play video on loop. So you certainly want to do that. So you want it to continuously play. Okay. You do have an option also, as you can see, to embed a video from a URL. Then the cover image, I would suggest a cover image if you're importing a video, for example, a YouTube video, let's say. Right, so you would want to upload your thumbnail. So what you see is the thumbnail, and then they're able to click and see the video. Okay, so that is that. Then your video alt text. So the alt text is exactly what it says here. Describe the video for customers using screen readers. Again, is for accessibility purposes. So we're going to add the alt text in just a moment. So we're going to come back to this. Then we come down here, and now we have style. So let's go ahead and make the video full width, right? We want the whole banner to show up. Okay. Now we don't have any text or anything like that, so we can leave the color scheme just like that because there's no colors to change. And then you also have the section padding. So the padding is the space between, you see where this line, the blue line is, and the actual video. So that is your padding. So you should always, for the most part, want to remove that. So we'll bring that 0. And again, padding between the space within the element inside of the section and the beginning of the next section. So it'll eliminate this one here. So that's really all there is to it for video. There isn't a lot of customizations that you can make in your videos unless you want to add some CSS, okay? The Dawn theme, you cannot add a link for it. If you have a theme that allows a link, then perfect. Then you would add a link and you're going to take them to your makeup collection. So hopefully your theme does that. These are those little things that you have to be mindful of when you're selecting your theme, okay? If we come over to our mobile, there's nothing for you to do to customize the mobile. All right, so let's go ahead and save all of this and let's check it out. Okay. Now, again, if you think that these are too big and you want to customize them, not a problem. You can always just go back to your Canva and make the image size smaller. So remember here, these images are 1600 by 1050. So you can make those a little bit smaller. I will still keep it at the 1600 because 1600 is how wide it is, but you can make it smaller as far as the height of the image. So maybe you can do 1000 will be okay. Just play around with it and make the size that you need it to be. I just gave you the recommended size that I have found for the websites that I create. Now, the last piece for this video is completing the SEO for the images and videos that you've created. So let's go over to our images where we've uploaded all of our files. So that's content and files. This is where you have all of the images that you've uploaded to your website, okay? So now what I suggest for you to do is go through your images and add the alt text. You want to add alt text to all of your product images, any images that live on your website for long term, such as in the About page. If you have images of yourself, images of your staff, images of, you know, how things are done, how things work behind the scenes, all of those images need to have an alt text. So any images that have like illustration, so maybe any patterns that you use on the as your background images, you don't need to add alt text to those, but you do need to add them to your logo in all of your product images, okay? So that's what the alt text is for, and it's really important. It's part of the SEO. So you want to add the information about what is in this video that is going to help anyone who comes to your website that is visually impaired, or when the image doesn't show up for whatever reason, the customer is using a browser where your video is not showing up, they're able to see by the alt text what that video is about. Okay, so for this particular situation, again, you do not want to keyword stuff the alt text. That's not what it's for. Okay, this is just to convey to your customer what is this video. So for instance, I know that my site is about brew therapy, but this is a makeup. So let's say the name of this shop is Beauty Is You. Let's say that's the name of the store, and it's models wearing our makeup. Okay, so that will be your alt text for this video because it's what it is. You can also say 50% off sale. That's okay too. All right, so we're going to save that, and then the same thing for the other video that we created. The same thing here. We want to add the alt text. So you want to add the alt text to all of your images, especially all of your product images. Well, my name is Betsy. I'm a Shopify website designer. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing and giving me a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions at all. Until next time, my friend, adios.